All right. It is, of course, a dreary and rainy day, which is fine. Not just in game, of course, but here where I live. All right. So we are going to begin the process of creating the book system. Now I have several animated books which I will need to look through. But at the very worst, we can spend quality time together. I've only just recently completed all 4 of the VTuber models for this character, so I look forward to using them. But there is no rush for such things. I will be ever so curious to see, curiouser and curiouser, whom and what we get in the way of people who join us in this endeavour. My primary goal, of course, for streaming is to generate a community around the game as I build it. I'm actually quite proud. It took me 2 weeks to set up the project, get it all backed up and set up on Git, to install what is, I think, 800 gigs, close to a terabyte of installed files. The backup is about 500 gigs. And I've built, gosh, 9 plugins in the last week to support development. The box you're seeing here, the bounding box, is of course one of those. So let's figure out where the magical book's installed. The downside of the new version of Unity 6 is that normally when I was streaming Mad King's Lair, you could see all of the additional file windows that I was using, but something about the individual windows that it crafted has produced a streaming unfriendliness, one that I am in no hurry to absorb. So we've got the main window, which allows you to see what's going on. Interesting, it choked on the stream. It choked on the search. Interesting. Just let it sort itself out, I suppose. I find it so interesting that the only window I was unable to customize in Unity for this project is the status window, the one that pops when something is changing or growing, or something is implementing, or when code is trying to levy itself. It's very interesting to me. There we are. I am searching on the sidebar for the animated spell book. I think I could be wrong. Let's look. I have dark. Oh, I see. That is not what I thought it was. Nope, not you. I may have to pull up the asset store in order to suss out which it actually is. Spell book. It's one of Alexander's creations. Let's try this and see where it goes. I'm sure I downloaded it already. I'm sure it's already in the project somewhere. You'll have to pop over to Patreon to see the odds and ends. Props, stylized magic books. Yeah, you get to see more of the interface from the screenshots for the project. I wish you could see the thousands and thousands of folders that I have. Now when I do share over the main window, you should see some of the folders. Stylized Magic Arcane book. There you are. Prefab, there it is. Close that. Drag our friend here. Oh, we have ourselves a conflict of materials. That's alright. Let's go to Uno, diffuse, and see if that just solves the problem. Same for the second. Uno, color diffuse, and for the final, Uno, color diffuse. I have this absolutely wonderful plugin which I found years ago. Oops. And let's get you off of there we are. And get it sized. It's a light free, so a truly unlit shader that can take light. I have angered the Alexa. Alright, so we are going to, why does that look crooked to my eyes? And in, and then up, like so. I don't particularly want it to be floating, but I also don't want the edges ugly. That should do the trick. Perfect. Now, what we'll need to do is we'll need to find the texture for the shader. How interesting. Ah, that's the page shader. There we are. Alright, so let's go to the you show as a full albedo. I mean editing the texture for it. Now what I'm curious about is if I go into the textures. No, I don't. I do not. Alright, then let's do... I swore I had some antique paper in my textures. Textures all. Let's search for a paper texture. Perfect, that's exactly what I needed. Perfect. Alright, so, and then we'll shrink this down until it's the right height, like so. And then we will resize it out so that we get a nice crisp edge. Good. Control C, Control V, modify, transform, flip horizontal. Bring the two together like so. It's just a PNG, so we'll just save it and then do a re-import and see what it looks like. Perfect. Now I'd like to open the textures. Yeah, like so. We'll open both of these, and then I'm going to copy our friends here. Let's do a quick grab. Now I use something called Fireworks. I have Photoshop. I've had Photoshop for forever, but I don't like Photoshop. I I am not a tremendous fan of Adobe products, both for their ways of doing business and for the quality of what's produced. Back before Adobe became Adobe, they assimilated a company called Macromedia. Macromedia produced a tool called Fireworks, which I believe was originally intended for web design, as it has a sort of slicing tool built into it. It was intended for a version of the internet that no longer exists. Oh, I see. Is that what happened? Indeed, that is indeed what happened. As I'm styling up the images, I just became incredibly aware of why this was sized incorrectly. They have an overlap on the image that creates that false page scale effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the edges of that, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to take out the distort tool instead. Oops. Where is my distort? There we are. And with luck, I am creating a fade that will carry over amongst the pages. Let's see how well that does. We'll copy both of these again. Actually, if I just resize the bottom image, we should be good. So suffice it to say, I leverage Fireworks, which you either have to steal or you have to pay the monthly sum of $60 in order to make use of a piece of software they bought, murdered, that hasn't been used in, 10 years, would be my guess. One box to the corner, stretch it up. So I'm currently using the old distort tool to create a floating edge. Alright, let's try that and that, which I know is not the most exciting because you just didn't get to see the editing that I was doing. But you get to see the end result once it loads back in, which should do the trick, I would assume. Not so much. There must be somewhere else that's getting the page images. Indeed. So what are we going to do? We are going to take one of the pages that I've created, and we're going to go back to our scale tool, like so, scale it in, pull it down, and then we're going to do a second effect, which is a fade. Yes, I use this antiquated piece of technology because it works so well for me. And then on our fill, and then I use Inkscape for vector, which you'll find is the majority of the art that I produce. And then we set it to a fade, click into it. Where is my bar? It's odd, there it is. Okay, we'll put a black edge down, and then bring this up. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the fade tool and I am emulating the page turns to create the illusion of a deeper level of page than is actually there. And then I need to go into the color wheel and lower it, like so. And then, like so. Alright, so now I have a share, modify, transform, flip horizontal. Alright, with luck, once I slide this into place, these two images will look like the page's edges. I have a very old cat who is nearing the last days of her life. She has perhaps a week, maybe 2 left. She's in her teens and she is sick and old but beautiful, and has been a dear friend and companion for quite some time. I will miss her. Alas, all things come to an end, including her. Set this to transparent, go back to the other because I neglected to do so on this as well. Interesting. Good, good. She will continue to caw and cry until she is fed a 3rd time. I have fed her twice already this afternoon. Alright, save and save. Back in and refresh. I wouldn't be making such a large deal out of this except for the fact that it's a central mechanic. Oh, much better. I love that. Gorgeous. Alright, so we'll now take this and we'll put it into the systems folder. And we'll call this journal book. And I will need to set up a... You should have an animator on you. No avatar, but an animator. And I have it. Let's just, first off, let's grab our player and bring our player into the house. You just watched one of my personally created add-ons. I have an add-on which I developed, which if you Control-Shift-Click drop any object in the game, it will move it to the mouse location. There's a replication as well. I believe if you right-click instead of left-click, it duplicates the object to be placed, which I made the mistake on multiple occasions of accidentally creating duplicates of things like the player. And now let's wait and see. It's such a shame that Unity has such a bad business model and or reputation, because I have mastered the use of these tools. Quite proud of it, actually. Though Crayon Legend was not a success commercially. I'm actually quite proud of the work that I did. I learned so much. 4 months of racing around like a crazy person, working 18 hours a day. My darling, if you would like the attention, you're welcome to come sit on my lap, but I am not feeding you for the 4th time. Stubborn thing. There you are. Hello. Hello, sweet girl. Hello. Would you like some quality time? You can sit on my lap if you'd like. You can clean your nose on the keyboard as you did this morning if you would like. There we are. The real-world calendar and clock is hooked up, so the time and the date directly affect the skybox, etc. So that's nice. It looks like by default the book closes itself upon open. So our next goal is to create we'll need to decide on which button package we're going to use, which key package we're going to use for the icons. But our next step will be to create... Oh, careful, little one, careful. Are you getting back down, or did you fall? You have to decide. Are you sitting on my lap, or are you getting down? Which is it? You want to get down. All right. Her stomach is so full that you can see it. Alright, so we have our book. Now I need to create a hotspot and select our sample keys to be used. So let's do that, shall we? I may have to download the GUI packs for the keys. I don't believe I've done that yet, so you get to see another tool I've created. It is our bulk asset store importer, which we put here. And I'm going to look at the stream really quick to see if you can. You cannot see it. How interesting. So as I'm opening up the windows for you, as I'm opening up the standard windows, you're not seeing it. My only concern is that if I do a proper screen share, then anything I show on my screen will appear, and the last thing in the world I want to do is dox myself. Needless to say, I created an add-on in which you can clear your downloads folder, and now I will go to the asset store, purchase date. We'll skip on GUI, but we are going to filter the store to 2D, and we're going to do key as our install on-screen keyboard, gamepad sprites, minimal prompts, icon packs. This will only take a moment to download and install. And then I'm going to go to control as well. And we'll do controller overlays, controller UI, animated prompts, new button pack, Oculus button pack. Most of these I won't actually use for the time being. But we are going to go all the way up, and we're going to close down the hierarchy. And we're going to turn this icons pack into a gray. I'm not sure why it did that. Alright, and now we are going to scan for packages, include both of the overlays, select all, and import. I don't know. So you don't, on your end of the screen, you don't see the import screen. All you see is the window. So you get the golden view of what's going on, but you can't tell that behind the scenes it's now doing a calculation. It's installing 1200, 1300 game sprites in bulk, because I built the bulk tool to do so. So it's quite lovely. It's saved me many, many hours of work. I'm quite pleased with it, actually. I did sign up to be a streamer on, gosh, what is the name of the platform? IRIM. So I'm endeavoring to be a streamer on IRIM if they approve my application and showed all of the work from Whisper and all of the puppet work that I did last year, and we'll have to hope that gets their attention. Don't have a ton of time, but I do so like the success that comes with creation. It looks like another 3 minutes on the download and install. I will be taking all of these plugins that I've created. I'm up to 50 and change. I'll take all of them and put them up on the Patreon. So if you subscribe to the Patreon, then you'll get an opportunity to see all of the unique Unity scripts I've created, both the ones that rely on other people's scripts and the ones that are standalone. Most of what I create I endeavor to be standalone, but there's some things like clock integration and what have you that are just better off if I use someone else's base script in order to base the work off of. I had no desire to write an SQL connection PHP script that would then allow me to connect to the world clock. One of the fun designs of the clock system, the Animal Crossing style clock system that I've built in, is that the clock first connects to the world clock if you have internet access, and if you don't have it, it has a fallback and looks at system time. There's nothing that I can do which will stop people from cheating or manipulating their game, but it's a single-player experience. So if you do that, I suppose you're the only person whose experience you're damaging is your own. But I've removed any of what I would consider to be the grind from the development documentation for this in an effort to make it so that it's just a series of cozy. Now I'll spend the next few days, maybe a week or two, mastering the journal that we create, building the journal sync and system, and then I'll take the time to get the overall package up to beta to Steam so that Patreon subscribers can get access to the beta. In the beginning, all you'll have is this tower and the live clock and the ability to keep journals. That will be the entire function of this game. And with luck, as the game evolves, people will enjoy the other features that I have, but at its core, this game will always be about collecting stickers and creating a journal, which I'm quite proud of. Alright, all 10 are in. I'm going to clear the folder and close the window, even though you can't see the window, and then I'm going to grab all of the icons. Interesting. Very interesting. The only pack which showed up, I must have already installed all of them. So what we're going to do is I've got the GUI folder, and I'm going to create a new folder in the GUI folder, which is called, let's call this keys and buttons, like so. And then I will search for all folders that say keyboard, and we will grab the ones I'm sure of. There's actually a trick that I can do. I built a plugin, and I'm so curious if you can see this as well. You can't. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. You cannot see the wondrous creation that I made. Alright, so this one is absolutely... Let's change the name of this also. Good. We're going to color this. Oh, I'm feeling teal. I'll color it teal. I wonder why I didn't get the icon. That's fine. Alright, and then once again, we go back and we type in the word keyboard. Oops. And we are going to drag that. That's a no. That's a yes. All of these are yes. So I'm dragging the files that I just installed, all of the GUI files for the button, which we'll use in a moment for you to see. And close this, grab this one, that is yes, that is yes, and that is yes as well. Good, all 4 of these can go in as well. There were only 10 total plugins that had it, so that's perfectly alright. And that is a yes, that is a yes, that is a yes. All 3 of those are also usable by us for this purpose. So, easily done. Now, let us take a look at controller. And in GUI, casual controller kit, controller. My goodness. There are a lot in here. How interesting. Controller controller button pack, standard, pixel controller, reversed controller, XB controller, PS controller. Fascinating. Alright. That'll do. You're listening to the score that I chose for this game. It's quite energized, if I do say so myself. Alright, so now we're going to go into as soon as it's up, it decides to stop fighting me. It's doing an attribute reload. And I have just reached the end of both my coffee and my water. I'll probably have to get up and go look at something else. We will have to look and see. So very interesting. Now, open up our journal system, go to our book. We're going to add a hotspot to this. And what a hotspot does is it creates a sphere that surrounds a radius of the object, and you can see it shrinking here. And our goal is to make it so that when we get within range, we will see the option appear. So that's where we begin. Now, one of the things that I do need to do is I need to instantiate. So we're going to have to go to our creations folder. We're going to create a new folder in there, which I call GUI creations and prompts. And we'll open that up. And then we're going to create a brand new. Do I want to do this in space, or do I want to do this on the screen? I feel like let's do a brand new. Let's stay inside of the scene, and we're going to create a screen space GUI similar to the clock's canvas, and we're going to do it down here, and we're going to call this the book activation canvas. I don't like that. I like calling it what it is first. There we are, canvas book activation. And now I'm going to get rid of everything that's in it, with one exception. I'm going to keep a single punctuation mark in it. There we are. And we're going to call this text prompt. And we're going to change this to read the journal. It's already set terrific, which we have, but we're going to change this to 2D mode, and we're going to zoom in, and we're going to bring this to center, 0, 0. Let's shrink the font size down to, my guess is going to be 20. That's my guess. And now we'll include an image in it as well. user interface, image. We're going to call this prompt key. Now, I am an avid fan of the letter E in video games for prompting, so we'll center it, and center it, and center it, like so. Let's elongate this out a bit, and let's move this back to center. Perfect. And now we're going to look through our source images for E key and see what we get. What design? I'm such a spoiled brat when it comes to the designs of the buttons. I like so very much simple. I like simplistic. D, E, these are the ones that I used in the last game. I like it very much. Now, you're not seeing it because there is a polarized glow effect. I wonder if that's going to cause a problem. Alright, either way, now we drag our object out and into our folder that we created to create a brand new prefab, which we've done. And now we're going to delete it from our scene. And we go back to our instantiation and we grab this canvas that we created and we hit save, own it. And now we will jump in and we will see. Let it finish its re-import, which I know you can't see. I will endeavour to fix this. I will endeavour to make it so that you can see more of the interface as I'm working, as we go. But I'm working on an incredibly long monitor. It's, I think, 84 inches wide. It's massive. It takes up an entire antique writing desk. So, this one's creepy. What is this piece called? This one is called, oh, Enchanted Forest. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Good. I do not want to accidentally trigger any additional sound on my main system. Interesting. Very interesting. I am on my telephone at the moment. Alright, do this. No. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. There's something that genuinely bothers me about the nature of forcing an app to open if I'm in the browser already. I find it incredibly, incredibly frustrating. There we are. How interesting. I wonder if the mistake that I made is that by adding ASCII characters to the name, I wonder if that didn't break the experience. Alright, we're good to launch now. You don't see the repeated warning that I get. It's constantly warning me. And then we just give it a moment, and it will, without a doubt, turn itself on. I guess the Steam and Unity combination freezes prior to kicking off. It sure would help if you could see the error messages in the folders that I'm using. The one complaint I have with Unity 6 is that there's a delay in the content. When you hit play, it actually takes much longer than any prior version of Unity. It doesn't explode as much, though. Now I will pause the music, because we're inside of the temple. I think it is both a little large, so the icon is a little large, the text is a little small and needs to be white. So, I can't edit it without making you dizzy. I apologize for the swirlies. Give me a moment. Let's go back into scene edit mode. So we're going to grab both, and we're going to move them down to about 3/4. Now the key prompt, I am going to shrink like so to about half. The text prompt I am going to increase the size of like so. Lift it up, go into the text. I think the only part of this which won't save correctly. I feel like this should be something magical. There we are. I like that. And then I save our prefab, which I believe you can do even while you're in the middle of running the game. I believe it can save even in play mode. It appears to have. And then let's see if it will re-index or no. Okay, so to see the change. And yes, if you're wondering, it is absolutely snowing inside of the tower, which is nothing anyone has done wrong. It is because you can specify areas for storms inside of Cozy, inside of the Cozy Weather app. And I have not done so yet. So it's running with what I would consider to be system defaults. I built the most wonderful sound plugin, which is a ranged activate and deactivate plugin, which does an automatic fade and has priority and creates its own sound device without pre-instantiating it into the scene, so that the device is not there to create lag, because sound and rigid bodies are two of the biggest criminals when it comes to creating lag. Don't get me wrong, I've created 6 optimization tools, and I have 2 that come from the asset store, which I'll use, which will do the trick. We are waiting on yet another load. It should only take a moment. And then we get the white flash, because I was tired of watching the screen pop. So I built the on-screen fades for when the scene launches. From white. I like white fades, especially for a cozy title. The music, of course, matches what's been playing on the player. That is specific. Alright, so... Oh, that's so much better. I like that tremendously. Everyone agree? Yes, I agree. The range is good. I'd say 5 is a good range. Yep, it won't interfere with anything else. We are in the midst of... Oh, interesting. Did I forget to save the camera? I think I did. Let's look, shall we? Main camera is set to camera. It is? It absolutely is. I did not save the distance alterations I made to the camera. What I find so interesting is that because I've already wired the time into the system, and because, what do you think, 2000? Usually I do 3, but that's a lot to render. Because I've wired the time in, whenever I happen to be developing, in whatever season I happen to be developing, the main game will respond accordingly. So you'll see the time and date reflect inside. What am I looking at? I wonder... Oh, the silly man. I still have 2D on. Of course it's throwing a tantrum. Alright, and save. Always save. The one thing that I don't have is the autosave inside of Unity. It will drive you absolutely wild, so it's a madness inducer. So I have it shut off, which means I have no choice but to save on a regular basis or fail. Alright, so we have a hotspot created now. A hotspot triggers a conditional event. So in order to do this properly, I need to have it set so that there is a UI open variable that we're basing this off of. I can base it off of it being active as well. So let's get the E condition actually working. And then add condition, add component. So now that we have the hotspot triggered within radius, our condition should be add condition hotspot. Hotspot active. Range? No. Condition. Maybe we don't need one yet. Let's create a game creator. Where are you, friend? Where are you? I think I'm a little bat-brained because of the weather. Camera, characters, dialogue, visual scripting, actions. No, let's do a trigger. Game creator, visual scripting, trigger. And we're going to call this trigger on E call book disable. So what needs to happen is on key, on input button, keyboard. We will eventually do all of this for mouse, for a controller as well, but not time. On keyboard press, key press E, minimum distance, add instruction. Now let's do, for our instruction, let's do animation, play animation clip on journal book, arcane book, and let's go to its perfect. Okay, arcane book opens. Oh, there's a jump. It has a magical jump. I'm going to have to attempt that. Magic book opens, and I need to disable, set active. Come on now, be kind. Inactive, self. Alright, so if we've done our job, oh, we should also do a set active. I don't know. So we're going to go disable component from, I learned this last time. We can't do parent because it's not associated with the parent unless we associate it with the parent. So parent of self and then hotspot. So what I've just done is now we should see when we press E within range. I wonder So I believe what we should do is we should make that deactive by default. Add condition, add spot. Look at game object, activate object. Perfect. Now I learned this last time. No, let's keep it. Let's keep it as a literal rather than a referenced. Now if I'm right, if I've done this right, when I've just set the event so that when we walk into range, it should activate the trigger. So even if the icon is active, the trigger should not be, which should prevent us from accidentally creating a false positive. UIs require 4 sets of toggles: turn on, turn off, conditionally turn on, conditionally turn off, which follows a very different set of rules than just about everything else. Interesting. I have been informed that I have to pick up some prescriptions, so let's do this. And then I will reorder the ones that expired. Shelving a prescription after 3 days is a silly business practice. It's my own fault. It's close enough, I could just go and do it. There we are. Perfection. Oh, you know what I haven't done yet? I didn't customize the cursor for the game yet. Alright, so if we walk backwards and walk in, it's off, and now it's on, and then it's off. Perfect. The hotspot, the benefit of using the ranged hotspot is that it makes toggling on and off your function. Now, if we've done our job, hitting E absolutely opens the book. How brilliant is that? But it did not self-deactivate. It should have, on pressing E, it should have disabled the parent's hotspot, and it did not. Disable hotspot from parent of self. Did not work. How interesting. Let's try it literal instead. So did that work? It most certainly did not. How odd. I've never had that. Oh! Silly. Order of operations makes a rather large difference. If you put the deactivate hotspot command underneath the deactivate self command, then of course it's not going to work now, is it? Set this to false so it's literal, so I don't have to worry about it. Because when the book is opened, the next thing we do is we build a camera that looks down on the book. And we lock the main character in place, and we remove their ability to move around, and then we look at the book directly, and the user interface is actually a 3-dimensional object. In this, I'll be using 3-dimensional controls on this one. My poor hungry girl. The last thing in the world I want to do is subject all of you to the next hour of meowing. So rather than have it ruin the stream, I will go ahead and call it where it lands for today. I appreciate everyone who circles back to watch this stream. I expect it will take quite a bit of time to build a following, but that's alright, because it will be years of development on this project, though it will be available to the general public in the near term. I truly and genuinely hope that you enjoy watching these streams as I bring the game and the White Rabbit to life. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you, friends.